Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away.
Hey guys, welcome in, welcome in. Welcome to Saturday Nights Live. How's everybody doing tonight? Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. For some reason, my dog is at the door. I don't know if she smells food or what. That's the only thing I can imagine that she's smelling right now. Vincent must be out there with a snack. He must be out there with a snack of some sort. Let me see. Let me see. All right. Are you going to come hang out? Going to come hang out with us? Yeah. Okay. She says she is. She's got one paw in the bed. But welcome in, everybody. Hopefully your guys' Saturday night's not as crazy as mine. I mean, I got these two crazies behind me. Actually, they're being very calm right now. They're being very good. That got the one here, the gray one. She's like hanging off the bed, and then the other one's down here. You can't even see poor Araya. She's just hidden. But those are my two co-hosts, and I'm Tanya, or Titanium Build. I don't know if you just heard her breathe heavy, but that was funny. She can breathe really, really, really heavy. So welcome in. Hey, Ladybug. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Mary Beth. How you doing? Welcome in. Hey, Mike. How you doing, Mike? Hey, Casey. It's good to see everybody here. Hey, Donnie Cross. Rest in peace, Dean. Welcome in. Southern California and Notre Dame. Well, Ohio State, what was it, like 30-0 today? 34-0? They did pretty well. I'd say they did what they were supposed to do. They did it well. I don't know if I really like games that are like that, though. When they're just like, there's no, back and forth. I don't know. I like it when it's more of a closer tie, like a closer, like you know what I'm trying to say. I like it better when it's almost tied. Hey, Tossed a Penny. But not quite that much. Not when it's my team, though. Hey, Laura. Vincent's probably out there going, don't even think about it. Don't even think about saying something like that. Hey, Crystal. Hey, baby girl. Hola. And let me know who you watch. If you guys watch any sports, let me know who you watch in the comment section as I'm going through your guys' names. Hey, Mandy. I'm usually a little quicker, but I feel like I'm not tonight. I'm just not with it. Like I'm not with the quickness. That's okay. And hey, Tiff, we could be slow sometimes. Oh, I love those kind of days. I like it whenever I go to get my hair done because she always does it so nice. She does it with a regular curling iron. I don't know how she does it. Hey, Ashley. She flips it, but I can't get the hair to flip. Like I know the concept of what she's doing, but my hands just don't want to do it. Hey, PKC. I'm just reading the chat. Did Mike leave us already? He better not have. Hey, Crystal. I've already said hi to you once, so say hi to you again. I didn't see Ashley. Well, hello, Ashley Higgins. If you're in here, are we saying hi to? I don't know. Maybe. Oh no, Ashley Higgins. I didn't see her. She blocked me. Hey, 12 Cage. She didn't block me. That'd be funny though if she did. Ohio State they're good, but they're good like every year. You know, I'm from Pennsylvania. We're not used to. You know, I was born an Eagles fan. We didn't have good years. We do now. I mean, we do now. We've had chunks of space when we're good, but we have a lot of years when we're not. Laura's watching Missouri versus AU, War Eagle. I like baseball. See, I'm not a baseball person. Hey, simply Felicity. I did enjoy my birthday. Thank you, Mary Beth. I almost didn't come back tonight. I was gonna come back tomorrow, but that sounded funny. I almost didn't come back tonight. I was debating on whether to. We were going to go do something. We were going to go to like a haunted like attraction, but I think we're going to wait. So, well, obviously now because I'm here, but we were talking about it earlier. But we went and we did get that mirror. We did get the mirror with the knobs on it. If you were here for that live, so we went to look at the one where we live, and at that Target. And for some reason, you could see like how they like glued on every knob, and you could see the glue like all around the knob. And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "I don't like that." So you know me, I woke up today. I said, "Hey, you want to go on a little road trip?" It's like 20 minutes away. So we went and we looked at the one, and they had one in the back. They didn't have any out front. And so I was going to order it. Like that's what I was going to do, and then just wait for it. But Vincent took the lead. I love this because like he's such an introvert, and he took my phone and he went and found a sales associate, and the guy went and got it for me, and it looked perfect. You couldn't see like the knobs weren't like it was at the other place. So, and it was on sale. So yeah, it was a good birthday. And that's what Vincent's mom got us. Well, I say us because it's for, our apartment. Hey, DM, but I'm going to be looking at myself in that mirror. I have to take a picture of it once it's up. But it's really pretty. I wanted to get something that I knew that we would keep. Oh, and I got my pillow that I really, 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 really wanted, that they were sold out online even. I don't know how I found it, but I was like, I'm just going to look. See, you know what I mean? Just have to look, see? Thanks, PKC. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Hey, Lenora. How was your birthday, Lenore? Did you have a good one? Was it the best one yet? I'm sticking at 39, though. I'm going to stick there. No, actually, it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, until someone asks me or until I see it on my medical bracelet or something, then I'll be like, ugh. The mirror TV. Oh, I haven't. They had a mirror TV. No, that sounds like fun. I did. I got my mirror. Yeah, we took a little road trip, and it like fit in the car. So I'm like, let's get it out of here while we can. And the pillow was even, that was like the extra treat because I was like, oh my goodness. I couldn't believe that they had it. It's just a plaid pillow. It's nothing special, but it matches both this stuff and the stuff on my other chair, so I can switch it around. Okay. We'll get into tonight's business because it's going to take us a little while to get through it. So there's a few new documents that have come out of Boise. So there was one that it came out on 10/7, but they didn't file it until now. I don't know why they waited to file it until now, but that's what they did. Do I have these in order? I think I do. In somewhat of an order. I mean, what order do we really need them in? So basically it's a lot of like what they're going to seal, what they're going to unseal, what documents the defense and the state have to, go and make their decision on. So it's 3 different documents, but the first one is about restitution. And when I read this, I was I was kind of floored. They keep saying Bryan Kohberger is never going to make any money, but I don't know. But it is good because he will not make any money off of any royalties. So that's good. So if you guys don't mind, take a quick second, hit the like button for me. That'd be great. And let me put the link in the chat if anyone would like to become a member throughout the live. I'll pin it to the top of the chat. And then I'll try to remember to tell you guys throughout the live. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I'm a Stanley girl. I have like 6, I think. Count my water bottle. Yeah, it's a little bit of a. I like them. I'm like it's a little bit of a. Like I could probably get the same, but I don't think I could. I don't know. I can go to the doctor. I can come out of the doctor for I can be in there for like 6 hours. Come out and my drink's still cold and nice. So I do like that. So like I said, the first one came out on the 7th of this month, but they just now filed it today. Or I'm sorry, I think it was yesterday because today's Saturday. But these came out last night, late last night. That's when I saw them anyway. So I will make it a little bigger. That way, if you want to read along, I cleaned my glasses before the live, so they should still be clean. Hopefully nothing smudged. The first, so if any of the files are highlighted in blue, that's from the defense. If they're highlighted in pink, that's from the state. And then for highlighted in yellow, that means it's from the court. Anything else will be in purple. I have a color coordinated system. I have a system here, but one of these days it'll be like, everyone will know it. Everyone will know my system. So state of Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. And this is the defendant's objection to the state's request for additional restitution. Now, I would agree with some of this if it wasn't all a bunch of baloney. Like some of the stuff that they're saying, it doesn't even exist at all. So, and I'll tell you what it is. So it comes now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through his attorney of record, and hereby objects to the state's request for additional restitution filed September 22nd, 2025. The grounds for the objection are that 1, the plea agreement specified funeral expenses and funds reimbursed through Idaho Crime Victim Compensation Fund in an amount to be determined within 60 days from July 23rd, 2025. Mr. Kohberger stipulated to those amounts, resulting in court orders in the amount of $28,956.88 on August 29th, 2025. 2, the additional funds sought do not qualify as an economic loss under Idaho Code 19-5304 because Steve and Christy Goncalves and Karen Laramie received extensive funds through multiple GoFundMe campaigns that specifically asked for and covered the expenses sought. No. I'm going to back that up. Their GoFundMe campaigns were for the ones that I've seen, which no longer exist because Steve and Christy were going to refund the GoFundMe. So they took it down to refund the people that wanted refunds on theirs. Karen Laramie is still up, but it's for hers is for expenses to go to the trial, and it's still there. It's still up. And Maddie Mogen's father has one up for expenses related to going to the trial, and it's still up. But they're not like, I don't think they're collecting any money on it. I think it's, but I don't know if they are. We'll look them up. But I remember those two were up. The Goncalveses is no longer up. When I looked it up, it had, the only thing I could find was People Magazine talking about how they were going to refund people the money back because of Kohberger taking the plea, and then everybody like having a fit. Remember, like over the summer, so they were going to refund the people that wanted their refunds, like if people wanted to be refunded, which I guess they could have left that up and they could have got refunds through GoFundMe. But that might not look good if like a bunch of people wanted refunds all at once. I don't know. So I guess we'll find out soon enough. But those were the ones that I did see. So, and then there was another one for Karen Laramie. There were two. The other one didn't say funeral expenses either. It just said it was from somebody else. Like somebody else started the GoFundMe and they were going to give the funds to Karen. So it says here, 3, Mr. Kohberger has no ability now or in the future to pay restitution because he is serving 4 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years. Like it's their fault. Like, oh, he would pay you, but he's in prison. Well, why did you agree to even pay anything if you knew you weren't ever going to be able to pay it ever? Right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know about that. So then procedural history. A judgment was entered against Mr. Kohberger on July 23rd, 2025. The plea agreement stated the state may seek restitution orders regarding funeral expenses and crime victims' compensation reimbursement in an amount to be determined. The judgment of conviction ordered $251,000 or $251,227.50 in criminal fines and fees, and $20,000 as civil judgment for each of the families named in the indictment, and also directed the state to notice restitution for hearing if the parties cannot stipulate to an amount within 60 days. With respect to the Crime Victims Compensation Program and funeral expenses, the party so stipulated on August 27th, 2025 to $28,956.88, and corresponding orders were entered on August 28th, 2025. On September 22nd, 2025, the state filed its state request for restitution and motion to seal exhibit, seeking an additional $20,409.32 for Christy and Steve Goncalves and $6,920.32 for Karen Laramie. An itemized statement with receipts was attached under seal. No documentation showing reimbursement by the Crime Victims Compensation Fund was included. The receipts relate to travel and accommodation. Okay. It says this is the argument. The argument's the plea agreement. The plea agreement is ambiguous about the restitution categories. Mr. Kohberger agreed to pay, and once receipts and verification were provided, he stipulated accordingly. Did he? This court must consider contractual terms that are expressly provided in the plea agreement as well as those contractual terms that are implied. Given the express language in the plea agreement, the only additional receipts submitted that may fall within the contractual terms are those for the earns. The state has an obligation to stand by the terms of the plea agreement that Mr. Kohberger relied upon. Okay, we'll remember that. Remember that. I mean, I would just be giving them the receipt for those urns. So the economic loss, Idaho section 19-5301 section, subsection, or was it one subsection A, defines economic loss as economic loss includes, but is not limited to, the value of property taken, destroyed, broken, or other harmed, lost wages, and direct out-of-pocket losses or expense, such as medical expenses resulting from the criminal conduct, but does not include less tangible damage, such as pain and suffering, wrongful death, or emotional distress. So could he be responsible for the family members having to go to like seek like therapy? I wonder, because it says such as medical expense resulting from the criminal conduct. Okay. Don't want to give us the 20,000 for the, you know, the I think it was for the funeral expenses. Okay. We'll you know what I mean? Like we'll just put it in as medical. Yeah, maybe Peru could. Hey, Chris. Hey, Lee. Yeah, maybe Peru can help him. Oh, I'm sure he's going to have those women, you know, putting money on his books. Several GoFundMe campaigns resulted in funds raised for the Goncalves and Laramie families. Specifically, one GoFundMe campaign for Madison and Kaylee raised $73,493. These funds were promoted as going to both families. And then it says see. Okay, so we'll see that. Is it sharing with you guys? Okay, I didn't know if it like went straight to that page or not. Okay. So these are still, this one's still going, it looks like, 'cause it says 2 months ago. I'm assuming it still says raised. It says this is Jesse Frost for Karen Laramie. Like, I don't know who Jesse Frost is. God just received more angels in Maddie, May, and Kaylee. Fly high and be free, you beautiful souls. Okay, right here it says, so donations will go to Maddie and Kaylee's families. That's where she's saying. Okay. Now, where were we? Oh, I have to go back. Crap. Okay. We'll open that in a separate page next time. Where were we? Okay, so we're down here. Okay, I was just looking. I was like, where were we? Okay. Let me make it a little bigger. I think we were actually like just done with this. Or we're down here. Okay. So another GoFundMe. So that one was for the 73,000. So another GoFundMe campaign for Karen Laramie raised $48,815 to help Maddie's family attend the Idaho trial. And also clarified that the funds were in fact used to travel to Boise for hearings, including the sentencing. I'm going to open this in like a new page. That way it like doesn't take us all the way around. So this is the one that was still going that I could see earlier. And so someone's writing on behalf of Maddie's mom. And then it says, yeah, so moving the trial from North Idaho to Boise. Funds will be used for a place to stay for those months. Okay, along with the travel expenses, you know, loss of work. Okay, that's just updates. That was from July. Let's go back to this page. So a third GoFundMe campaign for Stephen Christie raised $85,583 for the purpose of attending court hearings in Boise after venue was changed. And this is the one that was like, what was this YouTube page? Oh, the YouTube was Creme TV, like saying that they're asking for help for GoFundMe. Now this let me see if I can open this another link because I couldn't find it when I opened it. Okay, so here it is. But it's just whenever you go to like Google, it doesn't come up. So you can see it says help Kaylee Goncalves family attend trial. Like I remember this going around. I just couldn't find it. So they raised $85,000. And then I was trying to see when they stopped it. Oh, it says 4 months ago. This fundraiser is no longer accepting donations. If you are the organizer, beneficiary, team member, or donor, sign in to see additional information. So, and then Brooke Miller put this together. I don't know who that is. It was created September 22nd, 2024. Now, personally, and I'm sure any of these people's family members would give all that money back to have their family member back. I know that the Goncalves family said that they were going to refund money back, so I'm sure that it'll come out within the next few days. We'll hear an update because I mean, this documents come out. I'm sure that there will be people with things to say. So it says, given the specific funds sought and obtained for expenses to travel to Boise, the request should be denied because neither family suffered an economic loss for which the state seeks reimbursement. Both families did indicate a desire to refund any donations after the case resolved after sentencing, but whether they were able to accomplish this or donors requested funds returned is not included in the state's motion. So this is inability to pay. Don't call her sister. That's not nice. Idaho Code Section, it's 19-53047, provides guidance in determining whether restitution would be appropriate and states that the court should consider the amount of economic loss sustained by the victim as a result of the offense, the financial resources, need and earning ability of the defendant, and other factors as the court deems appropriate. Economic loss is addressed above, and in light of the GoFundMe donations, the specific funds for which the Goncalveses and Karen Laramie seek reimbursement travel to Boise, there is no sustained economic loss. Additionally, Mr. Kohberger has no ability to earn money or pay money given his 4 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years. Can't forget that, you know. Like they make it seem like it's somebody's fault other than his own, that he's sitting in there for 4 consecutive life sentences. He can work in the kitchen. Start him in the kitchen. Additionally, actually, you know what would be a great job for him? Cleaning the showers. Or like the toilets or something. He loves to clean. He looks like he just loves to clean. Remember, he has OCD, he says. I don't believe it, but that's what he says. I think that'd be a good job for him. Economic loss is addressed above, and in light of the GoFundMe donations, sorry, okay, let's go back down. Additionally, Mr. Kohberger, has no ability to earn money. Unlike other cases where the Idaho courts have ordered restitution for short and long prison sentences, Mr. Kohberger's is different. He will never have the ability to pay restitution, and even though he stipulated to restitution amounts, because he said that, he would pay those. There is no foreseeable ability for him to ever make payment. So does that mean he lied? He lied up on that. So let's just go to trial. I would say your little deal is not non-void. It's voided now. It's gone. I mean, because that is a lie. Under Idaho law, he will never be able to profit by way of book, movie, or entertainment of any kind. And that's the Idaho Code Section 19-5301. So he will not be able to profit off of a book, movie, or any entertainment. Now, if it's factual, I don't know if that's considered entertainment. I would consider that still entertainment, but For all the reasons stated above, Mr. Kohberger objects to the request for additional restitution. Oh, no, this is, right here. He waives his own attendance at a hearing on this matter and requests that he not be transported because his defense counsel will be present. You afraid to go to court now, Bryan? Bri? All of a sudden, you're afraid to go to a court proceeding? Okay. So now that he's, in prison and he can't wear whatever he wants to wear, that's what I'm taking it as. He's like, I'm cool. I'll stay here. I'll stay here even though I'm locked up 23 hours in my cell every day. Why don't you want to leave? Maybe Peru said something. Hey, Dion. I bet you Peru said something. Peru was probably like, don't you leave. Don't you think about leaving. He's afraid they're going to do something to his cell if he leaves. I mean, they wouldn't. I mean, they might if they could get to it, but they wouldn't be able to get to it. Okay, so basically these are going to be, this is from the court. It's order unsealing, redacting, and or maintaining sealed status of second document set. Basically, we had our first dump. We're about to have our second. So on September 3rd, the court issued an order seeking the party's position regarding the unsealing of the second set of documents identified therein. The court has reviewed the parties' respective responses and rules as follows. Okay. Documents to unseal. And I'm just going to read the date and read through these. Number 44. It's going to be May 30th, 2025. Parties proposed stipulated jury instruction. 5/28, 2025. States proposed supplemental jury instruction. 5/23, 2025. Objection to the court's request for the defense to submit a redacted copy of ex parte filing to the state. 5/22/25. Exhibit F to defendant's 6th supplemental request to discovery. 5/22/25. Defendant's 6th supplemental response to discovery. 5/21/25. Defendant's objection to the jury questionnaire. 5/21/25. Court minutes closed session. Can't wait. 5/14/2025. Second notice of filing defendant's proposed jury instructions. 5/14/25. Notice of state's amended exhibit list and motion to seal. 5/9/25. Parties joint proposed jury instruction regarding tip leading to investigation of the defendant. Okay. 4/21/2025. Defendant's objections to the state's requested jury instructions. 4/20/25. State's response to defendant's proposed jury instruction. 4/15/25. Defendant's second response to state's first supplemental request for discovery. 4/15/25. Defendant's 5th supplemental response to discovery. 4/14. The state's requested jury instructions, and it's duplicate there. 4/14. Defendant's proposed jury instruction. So then, I didn't realize that the state and the juries, the state and the defendant's proposed jury instructions were different. Okay. 4/8/2025. Exhibit 4 in support of defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, the AT&T timing advance. With regards to the following documents, the court received objection by one or both parties to their unsealing. However, after considering the objections, the court finds no further justification under ICR 32I3A to warrant their continued sealed status. I'm going to say, Judge Hippler, okay, that's good. 5/27/25 exhibit states 2 to state's supplemental rebuttal disclosure, the penalty phase experts. 5/27 state's supplemental rebuttal disclosure, penalty phase expert. 5/13/25 exhibit state 1 to state's motion to reclaim exhibits. 5/5/25 court minutes sealed. 5/1/25 reply in support of state's motion for examination of defendant pursuant to IC 18-207 and for extension of time. 4/29/25 defendant's objection to state's motion for examination of defendant pursuant to Idaho Code 18-207 and for an extension of time. And actually, let me put you guys over here a little bit. I'm on a different page. When I'm on a different page, I can't see y'all. Looky there. There we go. Uh-oh. What happened? There we go. Oh, look, it's big. That's nice. Okay. Put a smiley face in there. We'll do a goal. And then how do I... Okay, I have to use 2 screens. Okay. I don't know if you heard that, but oops, sorry. There's a dog that just barked downstairs. It's okay. Sorry, I forget where we were. Oh, the time advance. With regards to the following documentation. Oh, wait, this is the one that no further. Okay. Court minutes replying. Okay, so we'll start here. 5-1, reply in support of state's motion for examination of defendant and for extension of time. Hold on. Let me read that again. Okay, so reply in support of state's motion for examination of defendant pursuant to IC 18-207. Yeah, for extension and for an extension of time. Okay. 429-25, defendant's objection to state's motion for examination of defendant pursuant to Idaho Code and for extension of time. 425-25, gauge declaration in support of motion for examination. 425-25, state's motion for examination of defendant pursuant to IC 18-207 and for extension of time. I think it's about, it's the mental health diagnosis. So it's on the grounds that reference is made to the defendant's mental health diagnosis. Okay. So then 421, we have one state's exhibit list and then the state's witness list. 415, defendant's second response to exhibit S1 to state's first supplemental request for discovery. 415-25, exhibit E to defendant's fifth supplemental response to discovery. 414, state's trial brief. Also, we have the defendant's trial brief. 411-25, defendant's response to state's first supplemental request for discovery, transfer of test materials. And then 4-25, exhibits state 1 to state's first supplemental request for discovery disclosure. Okay. So then there's some that's going to maintain sealed status. We ain't going to know. Probably forever. And welcome in, everybody. With regard to the following documents, the court received objection by one or both parties to their unsealing. Having considered the objection, the court agrees to their sealed status shall be maintained pursuant to ICR 32I3A. So 527-2025, the exhibit S1 to state supplemental rebuttal disclosure, penalty phase experts. Okay, this document contains sensitive and detailed confidential mental health information of defendant and other individuals that has not been publicly disclosed. Okay. And the release of that information could, they just say it outweighs the public's right. It could hurt the person that we're talking about. Not talking about Kohberger. There's other people, it looks like. So, then there's 523-25. I don't know why these aren't in order. Like this is like backwards. Okay, Hitler. Defendant's evidence in support of offer of proof, alternate perpetrators. We will not find that. Okay. We will never see that. So this document contains numerous references to the names and other personal identifying information of proffered alternate perpetrators that could be used to identify them, the publication of which would be highly objectable to a reasonable person. To preserve their privacy, continued sealing is appropriate. Then on 5/15/2025, there were some court minutes used, and it was a closed session, and it just says this document referenced discussions between the court and the parties regarding the potential leak of information in this case which subsequently resulted in an investigation. No, it didn't. How's your investigation going, Hippler, on that? I mean, really? I would be so surprised if they're even looking into that anymore, like at all. Okay, let me grab a tissue really quick. Sorry. I'll keep reading though. So then we go to Exhibit D. To defendant's fourth supplemental response to discovery. This document identifies medical records for individuals other than the defendant. Okay. Then Exhibit D7-B. This document identifies certain mental health information that is private and protected under IC 10613 and therefore exempt from disclosure. Okay. And I did have something on my glasses. I just got it on there, I think. Man, I'm the worst at having stuff on their glasses. I got to be like that. Like, I don't know, just probably like the library lady at the school or something with like all the prints on her glasses. Just have like fingerprints always on them. So, documents to unseal and redact. So there's some that they're going to unseal, but they have to redact them. So it says here, 5/28/2025, defendants amended phase 2 mitigation witness list. This document identifies the names and addresses of mitigation witnesses identified by defendant. The primary concern voiced by both parties is fear that these witnesses will fact threats or harassment. Okay. I think that meant get threats or harassment if their names are publicly revealed. However, the majority of these witnesses whose names have been publicly identified have reported no threats or harassment as a result, and the few that have are largely individuals who had a prominent role. I think this would say in the case, not the case. Okay, are you getting tired there? There have been no reported episodes of threats or harassment that have placed a witness' life or safety in danger. Consequently, the court does not find that the being identified on defendant's witness list will lead to threats or harassment of such a degree to outweigh the public's right to access, particularly given the time that has passed and the corresponding reduction in public fear. Okay, I think we read this, we read this kind of statement before. The public now has direct access to the most relevant evidence in the case. Thus, the need to chase down all the potential leads is alleviated. I don't remember as soon as this. Alleviated. My God, right when I hit the speech word, I was like, oh my goodness, girl. It's time for me to take a 20-minute break. I'll be back. And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I feel like that, just that's what they do in Mexico at 12 o'clock. They all go take a nap for 30 minutes. I think we could do something there. with that. So, alleviated. Wow, gosh, girl. While some of the listed witnesses may be contacted by the media and potentially harassed or threatened, this remote potential does not justify the continued sealing of the record. However, due to the fact that her health conditions may render her particularly susceptible to adverse effects from the potential of threats and harassment, the court orders that the name of the witness with the initials CE be redacted in favor of her initials. Wait, hold on. However, due to the fact that her health conditions may render her what? So they're trying to say they're going to redact this person, but they're not really, because who has health conditions? I don't know who has health conditions, but someone with the initial CE, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to for somebody to figure that out, but that's kind of okay. Okay, so 5/5/2025, defendant's phase 2 mitigation witness list. This documentation will be redacted, consistent with number 46 Supra. Okay. And then 4/25/2025, Hewitt declaration in support of motion for examination, exhibits state 3 and state 4 to this document. All reports issued by defendants, mental health experts containing confidential mental health information of defendant and other individuals that has not been publicly disclosed. What mental health information of the defendant? The release of this information to the public realm would be highly objectionable to the reasonable person. Okay. And then defendant's phase lay witness. Defendant's phase 1 lay witness list. This document will be redacted, consistent with number 45 or 46. I don't see where it says 46. Maybe I have to go back up and see if it's in the footnote. No, I don't see it. So, okay. And then there's one more. This one is kind of like the one we just went over. So these are going to be all of the new documents that they are going to unseal, they're given the state and the defense 14 days to, go over this list of documents I'm going to get, we're going to go over. And you guys are going to be like, oh, that's a pretty decent amount of documents there. They have 14 days to go through these. And then if they don't hear anything, they're just going to put them out, no redactions. If they hear, hey, we want it, but want this redacted, all that. So they'll do that. And welcome in, everybody. Good to see you guys. Hey, Marcella. Okay. So we will go on to the next one. This one's going to be from the court. And like I said, this is going to be ones that they have 14 days. And if they don't say anything, we're just going to get them. Hopefully they don't say anything and we just get all these. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the date, just like we did before. So 3/31/25, state's response to defendant's proposed jury questionnaire. 3/31/25, defendant's objection to state's jury questionnaire proposal. 3/31/25, exhibits to defendant's third supplemental response to request for discovery, the expert witness penalty phase. 3/27/25, exhibit C to defendant's third supplemental response to request for discovery. 3/26/25, defendant's exhibit 1A in support of affidavit and objection to state's motion in limine, text messages and testimony. 3/24/25, defendant's proposed jury questionnaire. 3/24/25, defendant's reply to state's objection to motion in limine number 5. Then we've got 3/24/25, state's exhibit. These are all going to be the exhibits. So we have one that's Walthall. Then we have Seat, Nord, Miller, Martinez, part 1. I wonder if that's Christian Martinez, as in Brian's buddy. I don't know. Martinez, part 2. Then we have, these are all the state's exhibits. So rebuttal Ayers, rebuttal Hill, rebuttal Gilbertson, Yingling, Wilt, Maycheck, Dice, White, Ayers, Mowry, Douglas. And then 3/24/25, state's response to defendant's motion to adopt voir dire procedure and objection to magic question. What's magic question mean? I don't know. I like to know. 32425 states proposed jury questionnaire. 32025 defendants exhibit in support of their objection to the state's motion in limine self-authentication of records. So 31925 exhibits states 1 to state's response to defendant's 7th motion to compel. 317 state's response to defendant's motion in limine. Number 14, statistical analysis. These are all on the same date. 317, exhibit 1 through 4, to state's response to defendant's motion in limine. Number 7. 317, state's response to defendant's motion in limine. Number 5. 317, defendant's objection to state's notice of intent to use, i.e. IRE 404B evidence. 31725, defendant's objection to state's motion in limine 911 call. 31725 exhibits 1, 2, 3 to defendant's objection to state's motion in limine and admissibility of demonstrative evidence. 31725 exhibits 1, 2, 3 to defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, the AT&T timing advance records. Man. And then 31725 exhibits 1 and 2 to defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, text messages, and testimony. That sounds like a good title for a live. Text messages and testimony. I don't know. 31725 exhibit D1, 3 to defendant's response to state's motion in limine, neuropsychological and psychiatric evidence. 32725 exhibit 1 to defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, the 911 call under seal. 31725 defendant's objection to state's motion in limine, the authentication, I can't even say it now, of records. I can't even say the words. 31425 exhibit states 1 to states 4 to state's amended supplemental response to request for discovery, the expert testimony. 31325 exhibit B to defendant's second supplemental response to discovery. 3725 proof of service, NCO. I don't know what NCO means. If any of you guys remember, let me know. It was from 3725 proof of service, NCO. 372025 order modifying / amending no contact order. 3625 exhibit A to defendant's seventh motion to compel. 3325 exhibit S1 through S13 to state's amended supplemental response to request for discovery, the expert testimony. 3325 exhibits to defendant's second supplemental response to discovery, the expert witness. I was just reading the chat, sorry. So then 3.3, notice of filing signed and notarized affidavit. 3.325, order on the parties' agreement to not mention 2014 cell phone incident during trial. I guess they weren't supposed to do that? Huh. They weren't going to talk about that? So, okay. 22425 exhibits 1 and 2 in support of motion to strike death penalty, autism spectrum disorder. 22425 stipulated agreement of the parties to not mention 2014 cell phone incident during trial. Again. 22425 defendant's motion in limine number 14, statistical analysis, not redacted. 224 defendant's motion in limine number 5, inconclusive data, not redacted. 22425 exhibits in support of motion in limine, witness identification by bushy eyebrows. What? Okay. 22425 exhibits 1, 2, 3 in support of motions in limine, vague and undisclosed expert testimony. 224-25 exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in support of motion in limine, excluding IGG evidence. 224-25 exhibit 1 in support of motion in limine, conditions as aggravator. 224-25 exhibit 1 in motion of limine, excluding Amazon click activity evidence at trial. Yeah, you were trying, weren't you? 224-25 exhibit 1 in support of motion in limine, using the term psychopath or sociopath. 224-25 defendant's motion in limine, witness identification by bushy eyebrows. 224 states motion in limine, self-authentication of records. 224-25 states motion in limine, text messages and testimony. 224-25 exhibit S1 to states motion in limine, immediate family members in courtroom. 224-25 states motion in limine, 911 call. 221-25 transcript of hearing held on January 23rd, 2025, redacted. 218-25 proposed redactions to January 23rd, 2025 closed hearing transcript. 217-25 exhibits to state's rebuttal to defendant's supplemental discovery response. That's for the expert witnesses. And then 217-25 exhibits to state's rebuttal to defendant's supplemental response to request for discovery regarding expert witnesses. 211-25 exhibit S1 to state's response to defendant's 22nd supplemental request for discovery. We're almost at the bottom, I think. We're getting there. 210-25 exhibit state 1, and that is the state's motion to extend state's rebuttal expert disclosure deadline. 27-25 exhibit list/log. 128 exhibit U to defendant's 22nd supplemental request for discovery. 127 state supplemental response to request for discovery, the penalty phase experts. 127 exhibits S1 and S1A through E to state supplemental response to request for discovery regarding penalty phase experts. 123-25 exhibits to defendant's supplemental response to discovery to request for discovery regarding expert witnesses. 123-25 defendant's supplemental response to request for discovery, expert witnesses. Then we have court minutes on 123 and on 121. 117 defendant's supplemental witness list for motions hearing on 123-2025. And then another one on January 23rd. Then we have a motion on 116, motion to allow out-of-state witnesses to testify via Zoom. 115, subpoena issued. 19, Exhibit A to defendant's first supplemental response to discovery. 19, witness and exhibit list for motions hearing on 123-25. That was for the defendants. 17-2025, Exhibit B, defendant's reply to state's objection to motion to compel. 17, amended exhibits S10, Lawrence Mowry. 17, amended expert disclosure, Lawrence Mowry. 17, no contact order, proof of service, NCO. And then that's again, so it's twice. 16, order modifying, amending no contact order. 13-25, subpoena issued. 12, Exhibit T to defendant's 21st supplemental request for discovery. 12, Exhibit A to motion to compel. And then lastly, 1-2-2025, exhibit sealed, exhibit to state's objection to defendant's motion to compel. ICR 16B7 material and for sanctions. Okay. And so it's ordered by, Judge Hippler. And that's everybody's signature. Look at all the lawyers. Okay. So I found this podcast. I couldn't think of what it was called earlier. And the people, when they're talking, they do sound a little like, they do sound like FBI agents, I guess, if you think about it, because like the way they talk and stuff, I don't know, it's just very like uniformed in a way. But there's a couple of FBI profilers that work for like the BAU. And so they discuss they start discussing this case. This episode came out a while back. This came out in the summer, right before, either right before or right after. I was listening to it earlier and they're talking about sentencing, I believe. But either right before or right after Bryan Kohberger was took the plea deal. But they just talk in a different way. So it's not like hearing, a regular podcast about this case where it's like, this is what we feel happened, or I don't know, this is their feelings, but they have a lot more to back it up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I thought it would be pretty interesting to hear from people that work for the actual FBI and that are real FBI profilers. So let me rewind this because I was listening to this earlier. And there's 2 parts to this. This is the first part. I mean, they're both about an hour long. So we'll play the first part tonight, and then we can play the second part whenever. And I will put their little thing into the chat for you guys if you want to listen to it on your own. Also, I just am listening on Apple Podcast. You can listen on like Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. I will put up pictures though, like so that way you have something to look at other than, just the black screen. But I'll go ahead and hit play. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button. That really helps. Is this sped up or is this not? I think that means it's like right where it needs to be. Oh, there's the cat. Oh, do you want to go out? Okay. I forgot the cat was in here. I forgot to introduce my best animal. This one. He's the best. Oh, look, he's looking at you. Oh, he was. Look up there. Up here. Oh, yeah, he don't want to. Okay. There you go, sir. Okay. I'll get you in just a minute. That's the baby in the house. He's 18, but you wouldn't guess it. You wouldn't guess it. The way he moves still. So, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll hit play, and then I'm going to let the cat out. I'll put up a picture, though, for you guys to look at as well. And let me know if you guys have heard of these people. They do sound a little like FBI agents when you hear them talk.
This fall, work your magic.
Let me take that down a little bit. Sorry about the volume there. I'm going to just turn it down while I fast forward this through the commercial.
Premium materials.
Because there's a lot. And I think there's like
at a very disturbing colleagues.
Okay. They like the most melancholy music in the beginning.
Welcome to the consult. I'm Julia Cowley, retired FBI agent and profiler, and I'm joined by my colleagues
Angela Surser,
Susan Kostler-Drew,
and Bob Drew.
Angela, Susan, Bob, and I work together in the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. And today we're going to take a behavioral look at a very disturbing and widely followed case in recent memory, the murders of 4 University of Idaho students and the man convicted of committing them. On November 13th of 2022, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were brutally murdered in an off-campus home in Moscow, Idaho. The case was shocking, not only because of the level of violence, but also because of the mystery surrounding the offender and the apparent lack of motive. On July 2nd of 2025, so just a couple days ago, although when this episode comes out, it will have been 2 weeks since Bryan Kohberger pleaded guilty to 4 counts of murder and 1 count of burglary. Kohberger will serve 4 consecutive life sentences plus 10 years for the burglary. With this deal, he waived the right to an appeal or to seek any leniency. So in this episode, we're going to be trying to explore some of the remaining questions around this case. It's just going to be a discussion. I don't know if we're going to be able to answer these questions. These are very complicated, complex types of cases. I don't think we ever will have all the answers. If somebody does, please email me and come do the show with me. But we want to talk about things such as, what was his motive? Was he targeting someone specific? What do we think about that? Would he have killed again? And if he would, when? How do we classify him? Was he a serial killer, a mass murderer, or something else? What role did his background in criminology play? Was he trying to outsmart investigators? Did it give him the upper hand in committing a crime like this? And why did he plead guilty? Especially given reports that he admired someone like Ted Bundy, who famously represented himself in court. So we'll talk about these things in addition to some potential early warning signs in Kohberger's life, things like bullying, social isolation, or control, and the mistakes that he ultimately made that led to his arrest. And why did he make those mistakes? Before I begin a summary of the crime itself, I want to remind you that if you'd like to support our show and get access to early and ad-free episodes, you can go to patreon.com/theconsultpod. And if you're looking to connect with other listeners, you can check out the Unsubs Facebook fan page that was created by fans for fans of the Consult. And it's a great place for a thoughtful discussion around the cases we cover and other true crime topics. So what I want to do is I want to go through a brief overview of the crime itself and the timeline. And I am taking this almost directly from the change of plea hearing on July 2nd. And this was the outline that the prosecutor presented in court and that Bryan Kohberger agreed to and pleaded guilty to this. The prosecutor started out with some information that occurred pre-attack. So in March of 2022, Kohberger purchased a large fixed blade K-Bar brand knife and leather sheath on Amazon using an Amazon gift card he'd purchased shortly before purchasing the knife and sheath. At the end of June 2022, Kohberger moved to Pullman, Washington from his home state of Pennsylvania to pursue his PhD in the Criminal Justice and Criminology program at Washington State University. Beginning on July 9th of 2022 through November 7th of 2022, Kohberger's cell phone began connecting to a cell tower that covers the area of 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. 1122 King Road is the address where the victims resided and where they were murdered. Kohberger's cell phone was in this area between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. on 23 occasions. And there's no direct evidence that Kohberger ever had contact with 1122 King Road or its residents. On November 13th of 2022, this is the date of the murder, in the early morning hours, Kohberger's cell phone left his apartment in Pullman, Washington. His phone was turned off at 2:54 a.m. and it was turned back on at 4:48 a.m. At approximately 3:02 a.m., Kohberger's vehicle entered Moscow, Idaho. From surveillance video, starting around 3:30 a.m., Kohberger's vehicle was circling the area of 1122 King Road. He is seen in the immediate area and then leaves several times. At approximately 4:05 a.m., Kohberger entered the area again. He left and stopped at the intersection of King and Queen Road. He turned around, he came back, and he parked behind and above 1122 King Road. Bryan Kohberger then entered the back of the residence through a sliding kitchen door. He first climbed to the third floor where Madison Mogen and Kaylee Goncalves were sleeping, and he fatally stabbed them. A knife sheath that he left behind was found beside Madison's body, and it contained both victims' blood as well as male DNA. Either as he was coming back downstairs to the second floor or he was leaving, Kohberger crossed paths with Xana Kernodle, who had just received a DoorDash order, and he stabbed her. He then stabbed Ethan Chapin, who was described as sleeping in the bed. Each victim suffered multiple wounds. And the prosecution said that there was no evidence of sexual assault and no sexual component. Two other roommates survived by hiding, with one reporting having seen a masked intruder dressed all in black with his face covered. She noted that he had bushy eyebrows. Well, she saw him on the second floor. It's reported that he exited quickly through the same back sliding door that he entered through, and surveillance video captured his car at approximately 4:20 a.m. speeding away from the scene, and he's going so fast that it appears he almost loses control of his vehicle. Now, post-attack, the prosecution believed Kohberger drove back roads back to Pullman because his vehicle was not seen on any surveillance videos from main highways. At approximately 4:48 a.m., Kohberger's phone was turned back on, and from there, his phone tracks back to Pullman, where he lived. Beginning at approximately 5:26 a.m., Kohberger's vehicle was seen on various cameras in Pullman. At approximately 5:30 a.m., Kohberger arrived back at his apartment. At approximately 9 a.m., Kohberger's phone hit on a cell tower in the area of 1122 King Road. He was there for about 10 minutes, and then he returned to his apartment in Pullman. Shortly thereafter, Kohberger took a selfie, giving the thumbs up, and this appears to be in his bathroom mirror, and this photo was recovered from his phone. Kohberger's vehicle was then seen at various businesses in the Lewiston-Clarkston Valley, which is approximately 30 miles south. And following the murders, business records showed Kohberger began searching for a K-bar knife and sheath. Records showed that he attempted to delete or alter his Amazon purchase history transactions. Later in the week, Kohberger went to the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, in Pullman to change his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. The prosecution noted that Pennsylvania does not require a front license plate, and surveillance videos showed that the car involved in this crime did not have one. Kohberger then finished the semester at Washington State University and returned to Pennsylvania with his father for the holidays. A trash pull at his home in Pennsylvania, done by investigators, recovered a Q-tip, which was determined to be from the father of the person whose DNA was left on the knife sheath found next to Madison's body. Kohberger's apartment and office were also searched and described by the prosecutor as, and I quote, "Spartan would be a kind characterization."
I have something to say other than prayers for your mom, Chi, because that's I want to let you know that. But it was something about Bryan Kohberger. And okay, let me listen to this now. Now that I said that, it's like I wanted to get that out, but there was something else I wanted to say too. But let me go back 15 seconds.
DNA was left on the.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay, I just needed a little reminder. Kohberger. Okay, I went to school and I got my bachelor's, just my measly old bachelor's in criminal justice. This guy had his master's, right? He knows that they can link your DNA through your parents. I don't know why he thought just getting rid of his trash was going to do anything, right? Like, they could go and get your father's. They can go and get your mother's. What if your sister was over? It's just insanity to me.
The knife sheath found next to Madison's body. Kohberger's apartment and office were also searched and described by the prosecutor as, and I quote, "Spartan would be a kind characterization. There was virtually nothing there." They found nothing of evidentiary value in searching these two locations tied to Kohberger. Kohberger's vehicle was also meticulously cleaned. It was described as spotless. And it was noted that in his studies as an undergraduate, Kohberger wrote a detailed paper on crime scene processing. And while the murder weapon was not recovered and has not been recovered to this day, Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th of 2022 at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. He was extradited to Idaho, charged with the 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. And as I mentioned, he pleaded guilty just recently, July 2nd, 2025. That was in exchange for 4 consecutive life sentences without parole and a 10-year burglary term, thus avoiding the death penalty. Any observations? I think the first observation is just from the first thing the prosecutor mentioned was the purchase of the K-bar knife in March of 2022. Right then, we suspect that is premeditation.
At very least, premeditation of an act of murder. I don't know if it was planned at this location, at this time, etc., but he has a general plan or a general intention to commit a murder. And now he is purchased himself means to do that with.
I would agree with that he may not know because he hasn't been out there yet, but he is at least thinking about and fantasizing about committing a murder with a knife.
Choice of weapon, knife as opposed to a gun. Knives are much more personal, especially a dagger type. It's going to require him to get close to his victims.
And that's another thing. We heard from whenever he was a teenager working at the fish farm, whatever it's called, where you go night fishing. What's it called? Not fish farm, but you know what I'm talking about. Where you can go and you can get your fish and they will fillet them there for you. And apparently he wasn't good at that. He wasn't good at filleting the fish. He wasn't even good with the fish at all or the knives. So I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why he chose a knife. I mean, tell me I can't do something good, I'm going to do it, right? One of those kind.
There's a lot here that reflects an organized plan, at least in the commission, in that they're blitz style attacks, quick and efficient. He presumably avoided security cameras leaving the murder location. He shut his phone off. Also, after the crime, he cleans his car and apartment, presumably discards or cleans whatever he was wearing at the time, changes his registration plate from Pennsylvania to Washington, at least partially because of what you mentioned about the no front plate required in Pennsylvania, but there is a front plate requirement in Washington.
Okay, well, I'm going to give Bryan this one, okay? The whole plate thing, he had to change his license plates anyway in November, by November 21st, by his birthday. So him doing it a week early, I don't know. Like that doesn't like scream anything like that. That to me doesn't scream anything. I believe that once you live in, I think, Washington for a certain amount of months, you have to change your license plates over to that state. We looked it up one time. I should look it up again so I can tell you. I'll look it up while this is playing.
He also tries to erase his Amazon history, which contains the incriminating purchase of the first K-bar knife. He also tries to buy a second K-bar knife because if, in worst case scenario in his book, he is looked at for this murder,
30
he can
days.
produce a K-bar knife.
So he's actually breaking the law. He was breaking the law. It says here, you have 30 days to register your vehicle and change your license plates after becoming a Washington resident. This includes getting a new Washington driver's license and registering your vehicle within this time frame. So yeah, he should have done that a long time before. But we know he likes to break the law. I mean, especially when it comes to breaking the law, right?
And say, yes, I did buy this. I'm not hiding anything. Here it is. And there would be absolutely no evidence connecting that knife to the murders. And he discards the initial K-bar knife. And to this day, it has not been found. So all of which, also his phone pinged on 23 separate occasions from July until November in the area of the murder location. And as far as anyone knows, he had no other reason to be in that area except to be close to the victim's residence. So presumably he was performing some type of surveillance on those numerous occasions. All of this says premeditation, planning, organization, as opposed to impulsive, spur of the moment, and opportunistic. We're dealing with an offender who is rational and careful and planned.
My one thing that I wanted to add is that I feel that he perceived that he was organized in his mind to a level of confidence. Because if you look at the fact that he ordered the murder weapon on Amazon, somebody with a history of criminal justice courses and getting a PhD and that writes a paper about forensics, you would think that that particular person would find a different way to purchase a knife or to locate a knife. I mean, there are plenty of shows you can go to, gun and knife shows, where nobody will know that you purchased it. But he had some level of confidence and maybe even cockiness that he was ahead of the game because he could overtly do that online. After the fact, and after he, I'm assuming, erroneously left the knife sheath at the scene, now he's trying to backtrack and erase that because he realizes he made a mistake. And also on the news, there were video cameras that captured his vehicle in the area. The news reported that there was no front plate on his vehicle. So he went and got a Washington state license plate so that he would have a plate on the front of his vehicle, assuming that is to try to throw people off that it wasn't him in the vehicle. And then he makes the effort to purchase a new K-bar knife and to erase his purchase from Amazon. So to me, that is sloppy. That is something he should have thought of ahead of time if he were truly as organized as he seemed to think he was. Now, the whole thing about leaving the sheath of the knife at the scene is a different animal, because to me, it shows that perhaps he, even though he appeared to be very collected at the scene, like Bob said, he went in, he had his plan, he executed his plan, potentially ran into Xana. He addressed that situation and then left the residence hurriedly. But there was some level of organization and calm and collectedness during that. But as many have reported before, so this is probably not new to listeners, if you haven't committed a crime, it's a lot different actually doing it than researching it and coming up with a plan in your mind. And once you get to the actual act of committing the crime, there's adrenaline, there's a lot going on, there's blood, there's a lot going on that you're not going to experience when you're in the planning process. And so him leaving the sheath there is not surprising if it's his first time doing this, because in the middle of it, you're going to forget certain steps.
I think by
Exactly.
characterizing this as organized, I think you make a good point, Angela, in that organized to the extent of your abilities. Now, granted, being exposed to the curriculum that he had been exposed to in psychology and crime scene processing, et cetera, you might expect that he would have retained more of that and applied that in his organization. I think by organized, what we're saying is we're differentiating between impulsive and planned and some rationale guiding his actions. And I agree with you. There's a lot of novice mistakes. Leaving behind one of your possessions is certainly sloppy. And leaving behind the sheath that encased the murder weapon is particularly sloppy. But again, and Angela, I concur with you entirely, is there are always perfect plans on paper, but not even just murder, but any crime never goes according to that perfect plan on paper. Something always screws up, and therefore mistakes are made. You're not ever as smart as you think you are, and so things you should have thought of, you don't. And then even if you had a perfect rational approach, anything that surprises you, anything that shocks you, just the level of adrenaline can make you depart from those plans pretty quickly and unexpectedly.
From 1989 to 1995, journalists
comes in because you're nearly home.
Every experience is expand.
Might plan for a wedding,
Your travel advisor.
what we cannot plan for. And when I say we, I think if the listeners could think about any, not even necessarily a crime, but a significant event in your life where you might plan for a wedding, birth of a child, etc. And until you've actually experienced the emotion of it, the feelings, he may have visualized in his mind hundreds of times of what it's going to feel like to drive a knife into another person's body. He won't know what that feels like until he does it for the first time. And then he's got to deal with whatever it is he experiences when he deals with that. And he may have planned on it feeling one way and it felt something else, or it was more difficult. You just can't, because you've never been there before. He's not only executing what he's planned for, but simultaneously and at the same time, he is experiencing for the first time what it feels like to do that. And that really opens you up to possible, as Angela has already pointed out, making mistakes, having to rethink something that didn't go exactly as I planned. Now I feel like this. Now what am I going to do? And it's all a big jumble. It's not only the excitement, but I think everything else that might go into feeling that entire experience for the first time. And if you're not prepared for it in entirety, if you think, okay, I've thought this all through, I should be fine. If you're not prepared for that, and then, the unexpected happens, like someone gets a DoorDash delivery at 4:00 in the morning, you could start making some mistakes, or it'd be easy to make a mistake.
Well, evidence of the fact that he was rattled, and I'm, to just abandon any clinical here for a minute. He was rattled by the commission of this crime. And one of the things that is very telltale is his exit from the scene. He drives almost to the point where he loses control. This wouldn't be in anyone's rational plan to fleeing a crime scene. You would stay in control of that vehicle. You'd probably stay within 10 miles of a legal limit per hour, because you don't want to be pulled over. You don't want attention drawn to your vehicle. You certainly don't want to get into a collision or lose control of your vehicle and have it go off the road and be inoperable. But again, what we're seeing is the reflection of the fact that he is affected by adrenaline, fear, exhilaration, fill in the blank. Anything that is emotional and has a corresponding neurological chemical response within your body. You're seeing that. I mean, I'm sure it was not part of his plan to drive away and draw attention to himself as he departs the scene. That's just one quick example of someone who put together a plan and is making inadvisable mistakes as he's completing the plan.
It could also be one of the reasons why he leaves 2 live victims in that house, especially when he has a very close encounter with one of them, close enough where she can see that he has bushy eyebrows and give a description of what he was wearing. And why, after he killed one person that he has an encounter with at the hallway and then goes by another potential victim. We haven't discussed all of that, but this could be one of the factors. If he was feeling out of control at that point, or feeling rushed, or having dealt possibly with one victim that he hadn't planned on, that all of that could be wrapped up into why he was more focused on getting out of the home than potentially eliminating another victim or a witness.
I think this goes to one of our questions, this whole conversation that I wanted us to discuss was, what role did his background in criminology play? Certainly, he was evidence conscious, and he took a lot of steps. And I think a lot of times people think, well, if we talk about law enforcement techniques or profiling or criminal profiling, the offenders learn, and they learn how to get better. But as we see, some of the steps that he took to try to execute his plan actually ended up being used as evidence against him. It backfired in some ways. And what you see is somebody who has a little bit of knowledge of how investigations work, how forensics work, but he's never actually done the work. And until you do the work, you really can't plan for everything. You think you've thought of it on my phone and I'm not going to leave DNA. But he didn't think of all the different things investigators can do. They can get surveillance cameras. They can track his cell phone, not just on that night, but in the months leading up to this event. They can see all his online activity, all these things. And that goes to Angela's point, that goes to his inexperience in investigation. You can study all you want, but until you actually do it and successfully do it, you're not going to think of everything. And that just is what this shows to me. So yes, his background in criminology was helpful in some regards, but a lot of that ended up being used against him. But then it also showed just his lack of experience in how these investigations really work. And he was caught. This case didn't go cold. He got caught, and I think he got caught pretty quickly, having no known connection that anyone can say to these victims. I mean, that was one thing he did do as well. He seemed to choose victims he didn't have a known connection to, or that other people didn't know about. And that made it a little bit less of a risk. It lowered his risk.
That's one thing that he did as far as if he had thought that through. You were talking about how his beginner knowledge of forensics or criminal justice, you've said many times, the difference between educational knowledge and practical knowledge can be significant. The educational part of it can certainly be instructive and informative, but real world application is another thing entirely.
Absolutely. Still, it is surprising to me that given his level of academia, he did not realize that there are issues with even having your phone anywhere near where you're going to go at any point during surveillance. That's a surprising thing to me. And maybe I'm just imposing my experience with law enforcement on him.
It seems like a rookie mistake. I agree with you. He should know better. It really just goes back to what I think a couple of things, and we talk about this with a lot of offenders, his arrogance.
Yes.
He thinks he's smarter than everybody else. We'll talk a little bit about his history and background, but he clearly thinks he's smarter. I do believe he thought he could outsmart the police. And then just his lack of real world understanding of how investigations work. Yes, you can turn off your phone. Yes, you can clean your car. You can do all these things, but he just missed some big ticket items that led to his identification. And to me, that just spoke to his inexperience and his grandiosity, his immaturity. I mean, he was fixated on the planning and not the aftermath. He had no contingency plans in place. And I know he apparently did well in his courses as an undergraduate, and he was getting a PhD, but I think he lacks intelligence. I think that being book smart and having wisdom are two different things, and he completely lacks wisdom. He's almost delusional.
How many times you watch on TV, and then I will stop belaboring this point, but there are surveillance cameras everywhere. I couldn't even fathom trying to plan a murder where you're going to get away with it. The one thing that he maybe started off with, and I don't know if he did this purposely, was picking people that he was not associated with. That's something that would not put him as a red flag of somebody that they would investigate. But other than that, there were a lot of mistakes that seemed like he should have been able to figure out ahead of time. Everywhere there are cameras.
Right. And back to Bob's point about leaving the way that he did, because likely some things didn't go according to plan and adrenaline kicked in. If there was any question, I mean, I don't think there was a lot of question based on how many times his car was caught on that surveillance camera that early morning, back and forth, many times. But if there was any question that that car was the car involved in the crime, that notion was largely dispelled and supports a profile of someone in panic with no real world experience.
Since you mentioned it, Julia, what do you, just thoughts on this circling several times? So, in the leaving and coming back, is he deciding whether or not it's a good night? Had he committed and then he's having second thoughts? Is he checking and double checking? Does he see someone come and go from the residence? That's an awful lot of time to spend in that area, especially with all the surveillance that he had done beforehand. And he leaves, he stops at an intersection, does a U-turn, and finally comes back and parks.
Yeah, probably all of the above. I think he'd made the decision to kill that night. I think that decision he'd made because he turned off his phone, he had the weapon, and this was the final moment before crossing a massive threshold. And the circling strongly suggests hesitation, possibly indecision. Maybe he wasn't as confident as he thought he'd be. And he could have been watching for signs of movement or lights, waiting for everyone to go to sleep. And maybe he only had a vague internal script of what would actually happen once he got into the house, which kind of aligns with his behavior after the murders, making a series of sloppy cover up moves. Everything you mentioned, Susan, was probably going through his head. I mean, I think he was going to commit a murder. I don't think there was any doubt in his mind he wanted to. I think at least by March and probably long before, he had been planning something or fantasizing about doing something like this. Now, I don't know, the prosecutor pointed out this. They were not saying that they believed he intended to kill all 4 people. And I know, Bob, you had some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think we're saying this guy is planned and organized, and we know that he's been in that area over 20 times prior to the night of the murder, or early morning of the murder, I should say. And one thing that makes no rational sense, if you're trying to be careful and there is no other valued aspect that you're trying to address. In other words, if these are just people 1 through 6, and you don't care which one or which ones you murder, you're just going into this house and you're murdering the most convenient victims. And you're leaving yourself the most opportunity to avoid apprehension and to escape that scene when all is said and done. It flies in the face of such a plan to start on the 3rd floor. Entering on the 2nd floor, which he did, you would think that you would then find someone sleeping on the 2nd floor and begin there, at least begin there, if not begin and end there. There happen to be 2 people on that floor, so you murder those 2 people and then you exit. Instead, Kohberger climbs up a flight of stairs to the 3rd floor. Now, this is a place that is not the easiest entrance and exit point of the house, and potentially it's problematic to exit the house from the 3rd floor. But he does that, and that makes me think that he prioritized the 3rd floor based on prior observations when he was performing surveillance on that residence. For instance, someone enters the home, he sees them walk in, he sees a light go on the 3rd floor, and that's someone he's interested in murdering. In this case, he climbs past 2 people who were sleeping, or at least within a room on the 2nd floor, taking a chance on them seeing him, and goes up to the 3rd floor, commits 2 murders there. And then now he's confronted with Xana in the hallway. I think this is unplanned on his part. And when confronted with someone who's standing right in front of him, and we don't know what that interaction was prior to him deciding he needed to murder her too, which he then goes about doing, then goes into her room and kills the male victim, her boyfriend, who is sleeping. I think this is an alteration of the initial plan. I think he went in, and I think he was, regardless of how many people were on the 3rd floor, I think his plan included killing people on the 3rd floor. I think when he is confronted with this situation on the 2nd floor, he alters his plan and kills 2 more people. Now, he's seen by someone, but he may or may not have been aware of that. He probably was, but it wasn't something blocking him. It wasn't someone confronting him. It's someone who saw him quickly and disappeared. To salvage his plan, he needs to get moving because he's already spent more time and engaged in more activity at that scene than was probably initially planned. Unless it's absolutely necessary, he needs to get out of there. Unless something is absolutely imperative that he do at that scene after killing the 4th person, he needs to leave. And so he does. But this goes to show you this is part of an event not going to plan, confronting the murderer with circumstances he did not anticipate, and him trying to salvage his plan.
And I know we'll talk about this when we talk a little bit more about him and how people describe him. But when you look at his history of surveillance in that area, or his phone being in that area, it's between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. So he's already past the time he likely wanted to be in that house. I don't think he necessarily wanted to be in there after 4 a.m. So when you talk about, you think he went in and this was going to be quick and then he was going to get out, ran into some unforeseen circumstances, so he had to get out even more quickly than he had anticipated. And this kind of goes to motive and what we think he was trying to accomplish. But I do agree. I think he just went there to commit a murder, to commit it very quickly. Because if you are applying your knowledge of forensics, you know, the longer I stay there, the more evidence I may leave behind. And so I do think his original plan was to get in and out, kill on the third floor, and get out as quickly as possible, because he was already past, I think, the time he was comfortable being there, in terms of, I don't think he wanted to be there much past 4 a.m. since he wasn't doing surveillance much past 4 a.m. And he seems to be a pretty regimented person. So I agree with that.
All right, remember,
This chicken just dropped crew. These files. Enhancing processor amplifying.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think that he
The point.
Power of Intel Inside. Learn more about Lenovo AI PCs at lenovo.com/AI for you.
And this also kind of brings up the point that if his plan was, as we're discussing and we believe, to go in and quickly murder whoever was on the third floor, in this case, 2 people.
I
And
think
then-
it is important. I think he knew there were women there. Sorry to interrupt you, but I think that I think that's important.
Yeah, if that was his plan, then what his plan was not, and I know this comes up as far as a male entering a mostly female dwelling, was he there to rape and murder? My answer would be no. I'm not saying that there wasn't some underlying sexual influence regarding his motive, but I do not believe he was there to commit sexual assault and then murder. I think he was there to commit quick and efficient murders and exit.
A perfect murder.
Yes.
He was there to
Yes.
commit a perfect murder in his mind. And whether that had a sexual component, well, we're getting there. I think I agree with Susan. Victim selection, extremely important. He knew women, or a woman was there.
You know, he's confronted with Xana, who just ordered and got her food delivered. So I know Bob was talking about the fact that, you know, and everybody's talking about the fact that he's got a time frame and he wants to get out of there. And I totally agree with that. Do you think also, though, that he murdered Xana because she interfered with his level of control? Whereas, because in his background, he seems like he wants to have control of everything. Like we were talking about before we got online, you know, eating disorders, OCD or obsessive compulsive disorder, potentially. Those kind of things are based on needing to have control of something. He seems like a person that needs to be in control. He's in control of his situation. He's just killed 2 people and he was in control of that. He encounters somebody that he'd not expect to see. She somehow maybe has a reaction that takes control away from him. Maybe she verbally says something, maybe she pushes him, who knows? Something happens that he decides, I got to kill her because I'm no longer in control. Then he gets down the stairs, and one of my questions is, why does he kill the boyfriend who reportedly, per the prosecutor, was asleep in his bed? I perceive that as meaning he's laying in his bed. He has not gotten up and addressed Kohberger. Why would he decide to go in and kill him?
I don't know if we know exactly where Xana confronted him. Like, was it in the stairway? Was it in the hallway? Was it up on the third floor when he was killing Maddie and Kaylee? And he was interrupted, and that's why he dropped the sheath. We just don't know those details. But I would agree, like, there's control, but there's also practical aspect, witness elimination. She's right there, right in front of him, very likely, because she's up, she's awake. She's heard what's happened, so she's a witness. And then we don't know either, did Ethan stir? Did he sit up? Did something make him also believe he needed to kill Ethan because he was also going to be a witness? Or, to your point, Angela, it's like, well, there's another victim there. I have time. I'm going to go in there and kill him too, to exert my complete control over all 4 of these victims. It could very well be a combination. I think control, as we see time and time and time again in these cases that we look at in serial murderers, and we'll talk about whether this is mass murder, serial murder, the differences in our impressions, but control is a main component in these crimes.
Right. I mean, it's so difficult to do these without having all the details. Even something, a nuance, such as the surviving housemate that saw Kohberger walking in the hall, like Sue said, close enough to see his bushy eyebrows. I don't know. I haven't seen reliable reporting that he actually saw her. And if that's the case, why did he leave her? He's just killed 2 other people that witnessed. He's walking out the door. Maybe he didn't see her. Besides that, the only other thing I can think of is that she's not posing a threat. She is just peeking out the door.
I agree with what you're saying, Angela. And the other component is, by that time, is he aware of the time and just realizes he's got a face covering on, so just realizes he's got to go at that point.
And it's still about control.
Yes.
He has the victim that he came face to face with, he eliminated as a witness. He goes in probably wondering if anyone else is awake and has seen anything, finds the boyfriend maybe asleep, maybe just stirring, maybe actually awake, but decides, while I'm here, I'm taking care of this too. But he is still trying to adhere to this plan, and that has everything to do with his feeling of control of the situation. He needs to get back on track in order to feel that comfort of all the planning and all the preparation that he's done. He doesn't want to throw it out the door and say, well, there's been one variation on the theme here. I might as well just change my whole plan midstream. That's not who this guy is. So he gets back on the track of his plan and he exits. Even this variation, not to mention all the unanticipated and jarring stimulation that he's received in actual commission, all of this is displayed in how he leaves, and he leaves at an inadvisable rate of speed and literally not entirely in control of his vehicle. That has nothing to do with his plan and everything to do with his reaction to what's occurred and to maybe some of the unanticipated parts of what has occurred.
Well, at that point, you're talking about 3 unanticipated events. If his plan was to kill the 2 girls on the 3rd floor, he encounters Xana unexpectedly. I would assume, and I didn't read this anywhere, but I would assume that Ethan made some kind of noise or stir or something that made him believe that he was capable of coming out and confronting him. So he killed Ethan. So that's 2 people. And now you have a 3rd peering out the door at you. You got to get out of there. Things are going out of his control. So he has to move, just like you were saying.
The whole thing from the timeline that we're aware of is 15 minutes. But as far as risk level of apprehension, every one of those minutes is increasing his chance of being apprehended. And now he's 15 minutes, as Julia pointed out earlier, past that time that his timeline of comfort, because his surveillance time usually ended at 4 a.m. Another reason for it's possible why he was ending his surveillance is then he's starting to lose cover of darkness.
One thing we didn't touch on is comment that the witness heard. Julia, was that something that was verified?
Yes, I think it's in the probable cause affidavit. The witness heard him say
something like, "It's okay, I'm here to help," or
yes, it's okay, I'm here to help. She heard him say that. And so that was likely to Xana or Ethan. In any event, it was a way for him to mitigate the necessity of immediate action on the part of one of the victims.
Catch him off guard.
Catch him
still
off
had
guard.
some level of control there, coming up with something to mitigate fear.
Yeah. I mean, it shows that he wasn't thinking completely irrationally. He's thinking rationally. What do I need to say in this situation to decrease my risk and to make these people, let their guard down just a bit, even for a split second? It's okay, I'm here to help. Split second, they let their guard down, however brief it may be. To me, it shows rationality. And I do want to talk, before we get to him specifically, I just want to talk about motive, because that has been discussed and people have said there is no motive. And I think there's a couple of things going on. I do believe that there's a sexual component to this and a need for control and power. And I think it's all wrapped up together. But when I look at the victim selection and the fact that he enters a home, burglary, we know there's a correlation between sexual crimes and burglary. And as we know, and we've talked about this with other offenders, when you see burglaries that don't make a lot of sense. They're not committed for financial gain. You see things moved around, or you see things that are taken that don't have a lot of value, or you see concentration on certain specific items in the home, such as underwear or lingerie or shoes. That's when we start to look at, this very maladaptive behavior at a burglary scene, and you have to think that it's possibly sexually motivated. A lot of times I think people just miss that burglary can be sexually motivated. And I think this was a sexually motivated crime in that he picked female victim. In terms of behavior, there's nothing more maladaptive than murder. This crime has a lot of the hallmarks of a sexually motivated homicide. You have the pre-crime fixation and stalking, the victim selection, an intimate, high-risk method of killing, using a knife, entering a personal residence at night, and there are indicators of control, domination, and likely this was motivated by a fantasy. So he could have very well fulfilled some sort of sexual or emotional need without an overt sexual act.
Also, if he did the surveillance and that's how he determined or selected his victims, he knew that that house was primarily a residence of multiple females. He could have picked another place that had all men in it. And I guess maybe if your goal was completely non-sexual, it had no consideration of gender, then arguably he would feel more powerful, perhaps, if he murdered male victims. But he chose and he selected and he returned numerous times to gain information about this place. And this place happened to be the residence of multiple females. So I think
who were in bed during the crime too.
So I think we have to say there is some consideration on his part, whether it be just in victim selection, but there has to be some consideration of gender here. And he selected, one could argue that if you have no real connection with any of them, and to our knowledge, he did not, then he could have selected a mix of male and female residents. He could have selected anyone, but he selected a residence where it was predominantly occupied by women. So I agree with you, Julia. There is some preference for engaging in violence against women.
Yeah.
And the sexual component of that, the lack of an overt sexual act of violence against the women, as in molestation or rape or any other thing that he could have potentially inflicted on the women, it does not rule it out having a sexual component to it, because what that experience meant to him at the time, as well as what reliving that experience, what type of reaction could that be? It could be potentially a sexual component to him reliving this experience many times over after the initial act.
Good point, Susan. Well said. I want to wrap up part one of our discussion of the brutal murders of Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. And today we walked through the facts of the crime and discussed what they reveal about Bryan Kohberger and his possible motive and his intent. We're having these conversations because after pleading guilty, Kohberger wasn't required to explain his actions. He was only required to accept responsibility. So that leaves many questions unanswered, and it's why careful behavioral analysis still matters. Trying to understand this crime may help prevent others or solve others. Next time, we'll take a closer look at Kohberger's background and explore how his life experiences may have shaped who he became. If you understand.
I didn't know if you could still hear it, but they were just talking about how they're going to, next time they're going to go over like his background, school background, and like how that shaped him to be the person that he is today. So I wanted to show you my little pumpkin that Ladybug got me. Isn't that cute? It has like little lights in it. This light's on it, so it's kind of not as bright up here, but you can tell it's really bright when it's back there. Yeah, it's my little Pumpkin. 3 away from 100. Can't beat that. We only need 3 of you to say, hey, I appreciate that content. I'm going to go ahead and hit that like button for her. That would be great if you could do that. Yeah, I think his mom babied his ass too. Pretty sure she did. Pretty sure she did. Yeah. So tomorrow, we'll go over the second part of this, and then we'll go over the autopsy. So I found another document that I didn't know that was in with the other ones. And it talks about the autopsy reports. Like, it doesn't talk about like the report, but it shows where the wounds were more in depth. So we'll go over that tomorrow night. I'm going to go through this, I think, and mark through just what is relevant, like that, you know what I mean? Like some of the stuff, you guys won't care to like know until you see it. You know what I mean? Like the Cellbrite on disk activity snapshot, like stuff like that. We'll just go straight to the autopsy part of the reports. So we'll do that tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great Sunday tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful here, I think, in Ohio. Actually, it's not going to be here. It's not going to be beautiful here. I forgot it's going to rain. Let's double check. Oh, I'm trying to find the smiley face. Okay. My brother said happy birthday to me. He said it yesterday. I just saw it tonight. And so I said, thank you. And he said, love you. I said, love you too. That was sweet of him. Let's see what tomorrow's weather is going to be. I swear those are my two favorite gifts. Actually, I have three now. I have 3 favorite things that I get for my birthday every year. And it's usually no matter what, I get these 3 things. I get a card from Vincent's mom, which I love. I get a card from Vincent, which I love that because he usually writes something like cute in there. And that's like that. He's so introverted. Like sometimes it's like he always says nice things to me, but not like card worthy nice. You know what I mean? And my brother telling me happy birthday. That's my other one. Those are the 3 birthday gifts I really do enjoy. Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be 95% chance of rain starting at 4 a.m. And it's going to rain all day. So, I may be sleeping tomorrow. Maybe taking a little nap. No, you're fine, Mary Beth. It's going to rain there too, baby girl. Yeah, it's just, man. I know, wasn't that cute? It's a cute little pumpkin. I think it'd be cute when the light flashes through when the light's not on, but our light, we don't get light in this window very much for some reason. My umbrella's in the car. That's where it should be, huh? I think both of them are in the car. Crap. Yeah, because we had to take the dogs out no matter what. Oops. I only have one in here. I forgot. The other one left. And I don't know why she left. I think she wants to come back in now. It is, isn't it, Laura? And then every year I can unpack that, and then my little ghost back there that Reba got me can unpack them. And that's the pumpkin over there. It just needs to be brightened up a little bit. That's the pumpkin I got last year. You have a milkshake umbrella? I want one of those clear umbrellas. Like just like the clear, like the old school ones. I want one of those really bad. I think they're really cute. Thanks, Marcella. Yeah, at first it was being weird. It wasn't lighting, and it was either the battery or there was like one of the little things, the prongs wasn't like, I don't know, attached. And all I did was carry it out to the kitchen, like upside down, so I could put another battery in it. And then when I put the battery in it, it came right on. I was like, huh, fixed. Oh, the hair product milkshake. Yes. It's called milk, isn't it? Or milkshake. Maybe it's makeup. I don't know. Now I don't know. I think it's the same, isn't it? I think it's like skincare and hair care. Oh, that's okay, Mary Beth. I celebrate my birthday twice a year. I'm just kidding. I should though. That'd be funny. That would be totally funny. I think I know what it is. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. No different. Same. Okay. Maybe I do then. I need some new hair products. Actually, I don't know what I could put in with these extensions. I could put anything that's like all natural kind of. And that's what I've been using. Well, I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to go and wash off my face. My face is itching for some reason. Sometimes when I put makeup on, does that happen to you? Like my nose will itch and then like my eyes will water. I don't know, like this eye was watering, this eye was watering a minute ago. And I thought I was having a real bad case of the allergies, but my doctor said, no, you just have broken bones in your face. I have fractured bones, I guess, under my eye. So we think that might be what the allergy problem was. But yeah, sometimes I just put on makeup and I get so like itchy. Like my nose is itchy right now. I feel like and my eyes. I feel like I could scratch them. So I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to wash this off my face. I've only had it on for a few hours. I swear. I might have like an allergy or something to one of these products I'm putting on. Trying to think because nothing's old, you know what I mean? Like everything's new. I'm wondering if it's this stuff I use, this shimmer stuff. Well, I'll be danged. Probably am because it's a good price. But thank you guys for being here tonight. I do appreciate it so much. Make sure you stay safe, lock your doors, lock your windows, get your dogs if you have them, or your cats. Hey, cats could be cats could be tougher than dogs sometimes. I got a tough cat. But I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you guys being here tonight. If you guys don't mind, take a second, hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. We do talk true crime daily here. So if that's something you're into, make sure you hit all the buttons. And I'll see you guys all here tomorrow. Same time, same place. I'll see you guys at 9:15 here tomorrow night. Bye, guys.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna let it out. Tonight, we're gonna let it out. Tonight, we're gonna let it out. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it out. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt.